certain things you expect from a Prince of Persia game. It's what's built into the DNA. That's acrobatics, some romance, some daring do, some magic. You expect to be transported.
The Prince of Persia stories always hark back to a kind of a Middle Eastern, Persian, mythological storytelling.
Zoroastrianism, like the Persian religion, was certainly a core influence.
The milieu of the Prince of Persia games is always, just this sense of what's exotic. What's Persia? It's sort of a cool word. There's Persian cats, there's Persian sweaters, I think.
It really resonates with that feeling that you're inside like a legend or a fairy tale or a storybook of some kind, like you're inside Arabian Nights.
Something about the game when you see it in action for the first time that you think, I really want to be in that world.
Elika, it is finished!
Prince of Persia, above all other games, has always had a really interesting, kind of epic, compelling storyline.
This storyline basically involves the prince having to clean up the world from a corruption that spread as a result of two gods battling.
Ahriman, the evil god of corruption, has spread over the entire world. Elika enlists the prince's help to drive the corruption out of the entire world, thus finally re-imprisoning Ahriman and, winning the game.
It would be great if you could see corruption in the real world. If you were like, oh, black, oily, gelatinous blob, get away from me. You are no good for me. Maybe our country would be in a much different place if we had that.
Prince of Persia takes that concept of the light and the dark, the good and the evil, and actually manifests it physically by taking the environments that you play in and covering them with sort of a dark, corrupt haze.
There is no life in this world. Everything is gone. We really wanted you to feel that evil and that corruption in this world.
We're cleaning out black crude oil, I guess you could say, from the world and making it a green, lovable place.
The environments are really different than you kind of see in traditional video games.
It looks amazing. It looks like literally like you're playing through a watercolor painting.
Like a graphic novel. It almost feels like a comic book, like you're reading an illustrated book and it's like, boom, you jump into the painting and there you go. It's like, wow, look at that.
This game is gorgeous. It is literally like they took artists and said, paint this world for us and then we're going to animate it.
When they chose not to go with making the characters look as realistic as possible, people were really shocked by that. Instead, they took a very interesting artistic direction.
It doesn't look like any other game that's coming out this year.
When you're finished purging the corruption from a level, you get to see it come back to life.
Green grass starts growing and everything becomes green and there's more vines for you to climb on, and this world that you just went through changes, and getting back out of it, you find a whole new way to get out of, which I think is really interesting.
For me, I'm a sucker for that game mechanic. If I can play through a game and then feel like I've changed the world, not just saved it, but changed it, it's a pretty good feeling.
The previous games in Prince of Persia were completely linear, and this one is completely open world.
The world is a giant puzzle.
You'll have an environmental puzzle, this area that in order to proceed, you're going to need to think through it.
Everything flows into another, just happens because it's part of the game world.
The enemies in Prince of Persia are definitely very over the top. They're very kind of big and monstrous and lurking and evil looking.
But it's not just sweeping away, some dust bunnies with a broom. It'll fight you back. Kind of like my dust bunnies in my apartment.
And then you have lieutenants, more serious boss characters that guard entire regions.
Why do they call it the Hunter?
He was a prince who lived for the hunt. He sold his soul to Ahriman.
They're not cardboard characters who are like, I am evil and I will twist my mustache. And it's not that simple.
Very early on the project, we were trying to decide, are we going to go with a fight system that's going to have 10 to 50 different enemies on screen at the same time that you're just hacking and slashing your way through, or are we going to focus more on this one-on-one type of system? The natural choice was to go in this one-on-one fight. We really wanted personality with these characters.
Enough of this.
I like that. I like the intimacy of the conflicts. Knowing your enemy a little bit and seeing some real personality coming out just adds a whole other level of tension that feels more heroic to me.
You're not just fighting guy after guy after guy.
You're part of a story as opposed to part of a game.
And you're doing it in sandals.